All right, so our second talk this evening is frozen pipes and flowing data, what Winter Storm Fern told us about water use in Fort Worth. This was a project that we did in my AP Environmental Science class. Unfortunately, none of the students were able to make it tonight to present, but all of them did help with the presentations. All of them made graphs. We've been working on this for quite a while. On Saturday, we had these 4 seniors graduate from TCC with their associate's degree. So one of the neat things about the high school I work at is they graduate, a lot of them, with an associate's degree as well as their high school diploma. And tomorrow's the last day of school, so I think we're very fortunate that Gishelli made it out here. Most students aren't coming out on the day before school ends. But I just wanted to give a quick thank you to Dami, Belicia, Charlize, Vivian, Landon, Faye, Peter, Adelaide, Miley, Julie, and Ariana for helping out with this. 90% of this slideshow is made by Dami in the top left. The Tarrant Regional Water District sponsors this program. It's a way to educate and conserve water. So I want to give a huge thank you to TRWD, specifically Board President Leah King and Board Member Jonathan Killebrew. We work with them all year long. We've worked with them on 7 different projects, from macroinvertebrates down at the river right outside school, thanks to Michelle and Jesse, work in the watershed program, water quality. One of the posters back there was co-authored with the TRWD water quality person, Tom Thalhuber. We got to present that in Galveston at the Texas chapter of American Fisheries Society. The MeterHero project we began second semester. That's Betsy Marsh presenting to us. She's the supervisor of the Education and Conservation Group at TRWD. We also did a really cool lab down at the river where TRWD had stations on point source pollution, non-point source pollution, watersheds. Thanks to Vanessa, Betsy, Jesse, we had a whole bunch of folks out there helping. We had another TRWD guy come in to talk about algae. In this slide, it's taste and odor. Algae will tell you, sampling algae will tell you about the taste and odor. So drinking water is heavily affected, taste and odor, by the algae. So when he samples them as part of his job for TRWD, when you have a lot of specific species, you tell the water treatment plants, and then they deal with it before it gets to us, and we have smelly water. And then finally, we had him out just the last few weeks doing more turtle survey stuff. So thank you very much to TRWD for supporting this project. But the real force behind MeterHero and the whole project is Nate Conroy. He's the one that's created this, worked with Tarrant Region Water District, and he was kind enough to make a short 2-minute video for us so he can explain a little bit about the project and its impact.
I'm Nate Conroy, one of the teachers who created MeterHero. It was created because as teachers we're often looking for ways to make learning more real and relevant for students. And what we discovered is that there are utility meters, like this one next to me here, this water meter, that are connected to students' lives outside the classroom. And if we could find ways to help students to collect and analyze that data, then that would give them a chance to do authentic real-world experiments. And so what's been really awesome is that we have students around the country who are collecting data. They are measuring their kind of baseline consumption. They're either gathering that data directly from meters like this one, or like in Fort Worth, they're using what we call an advanced metering infrastructure, or an AMI portal, where data is coming from the meter and being transmitted directly to their computers. And they're looking at that data and creating an experiment, measuring the difference between normal consumption and the change that they see when they implement a conservation strategy. One really cool thing that's happened is that we've ended up partnering with agencies like the Tarrant Regional Water District to customize the program so that students learn about local opportunities to help their families save. They learn about things like careers, the local infrastructure that provides water to their home. It's been fantastic. School bus is coming by down the street. And so one other thing is that we've worked with teachers around the country. We've had a number of teachers who have said, hey, this would be really awesome to connect with like a local weather event. And Tabs was one of our early ones who did it and connected this opportunity with Storm Fern, looking at water use before the storm, water use during the storm. And what I love is I think the data that came back wasn't exactly what the students and the teacher were expecting, but I give a lot of credit to Andrew and his team there at Tabs to kind of embrace the real world nature of this and learn from it. I'm really excited by how this program has empowered students to save a lot for their families, but also give them a sense that they can be impactful members of the community, and also hopefully give them confidence that they can pursue careers that involve data analysis and maybe even work in the water industry themselves. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Nate Conroy.
Thank you, Nate. So project context. So the tool MeterHero, it's a program online. The high school students collect the data and enter it into the program. And the program will help them make graphs, analyze the data. The specific event we were looking at was Winter Storm Fern. And the threat when you have these extreme weather events is to freshwater infrastructure, which can be pretty bad. This is geared towards AP Environmental Science. I know Nate focuses on that class throughout the United States, and it connects really well. Freshwater, as everyone here knows, we have less than 0.1% that we just share and have to reuse. So understanding water conservation is really critical to making sure we have enough of it. The water footprint, this whole exercise showed the students how much water do you use. I didn't know myself until I started checking out online what my readings were. And then the vulnerability between droughts and infrastructure. Water is one of the most important resources we have, and we have to be really careful with it. So locally, most of our water is provided by TRWD as raw water, and then the city cleans it and we get it drinking. But most of it's piped up almost 90 miles from Richland Chambers and Cedar Creek. So it comes from a long ways away. During freezes like the Winter Storm Fern, obviously they recommend you drip faucets, you wrap your pipes to keep everything from freezing. Overall though, water is undervalued. It's relatively cheap, so people waste it. The more valuable it becomes, which it will, the prices will go up. I think we'll see more people conserving water. So the research question and methodology. The core question was, did Winter Storm Fern affect household use of water? We did data collection by making a survey through Google Forms, and we sent it out to a bunch of different friends, colleagues, students, teachers. And then we compared the baseline data from the weekend before, January 17th to the 19th, to the storm data that we got. Before I wanted to start collecting data or looking at the data, I wanted to make sure that it was accurate. So on 3 separate occasions, 15th of May, 23rd, and 19th of February, I woke up in the middle of the night and filled a bucket to a specific amount of water and then dumped it out. And then I was able to check on my water portal to see how much it said that I used. So on the 15th of May recently, I used 11 gallons. It reported 11.97, 8% overage. 23rd February, pretty much identical. And then 19th of February, it was a little low. So they're not 100% accurate without a doubt. And when you look at a population of 1 million people, I mean, 1 gallon off for 1 million people is a lot of water. I know that the city is working on that and they're continually getting it better. I also, personally, my meter wasn't working, which I didn't know. When I logged in, I had no water data. and I got it fixed, but I know at least one other person that occurred with, or two. So I think being able to figure out who is not working or working is also very important to conserving our water. So here are some results. So before the storm, after the storm, or during the storm. So we used more water during the storm than we did before. Here's some more results. This is a total household, that graph right there by date. So on the left again is before the storm, the three right are the storm. So here's the normal conditions, average per capita. So 51 gallons per person, 49.48. And then during the storm, you can see it jumped up to 67 on average. So we had a 37% increase. And we were trying to think of why this could be. And there's lots of different explanations, but I think one of the most viable is that when you're at work, you're washing your hands, you're using the restroom, you're using water, right? When you stay at home all day, you're using more water because you're not using the water at work. So maybe if you subtract those 18 gallons, maybe that is what we're using on average baseline when you're at work, just using the restroom, drinking water. Not sure, but just something to think about. Here is total water usage by household size. As expected, the bigger the household, we had one family with 8, a couple with 6, one with 5. More people, the more water use. But it does kind of level off, you can see. After 4 people, it doesn't increase a whole lot. Most of the families were 4, 3, 2 people, 5 people. We had a couple 6 and a couple 1, 8, and 1 individual. Overall, we had about 30 people submit data. So the average was 51, got up as high as 73 during the spike. Some households saw slight increases. One was a really extreme event that went from 120 gallons to 1,681. Maybe a pipe broke. Maybe their watering system was on and broke, which is analyzing the spike here. So potentially with that big one here, we think a pipe likely broke. Preventative measures, obviously, dripping faucets is going to be wasted water, which would also help explain the increase. And then there were a handful of folks that it actually went down, and maybe those people were hunkered down. They decided we'll skip showers and laundry and stuff because we don't want a chance busting any pipes. So they actually used less water. So this wasn't across the board that everyone used more. Potential solutions. Tarrant Region Water District will tell you at their education events that we waste about 40% of our municipal water, the water that we get in our homes, mostly on our yards. We also have thousands of pipes underground, thousands of miles of pipes, and there's lots and lots of leaks that we're always trying to address. The city's constantly working on it. Domestic conservation, just turning off when you're brushing your teeth, don't let it run the whole time. That would be an experiment we could do next year with students using this MeterHero. See what it is like what it's been like after you do that. But this is one of the primary ways we're gonna be able to have water as the population of Fort Worth grows. The population is growing much faster than our water resources. So in order to bridge that gap, we're gonna have to conserve more water. And then, of course, storm resilience. We don't want any broken pipes. So by updating things and keeping things from breaking, we improve our water conservation. Some of the limitations include a relatively small sample size of 30. Hopefully we can get that a little bit bigger. Future research, we could also look at droughts, other weather events, or different strategies to conserve water. One of the things I would do differently in the questionnaire is include, do you have a swimming pool? Do you have a irrigation system, automated irrigation? I didn't include those. I wish I had, because that tells you a lot. Thank you so much to the AP Environmental Science students that worked on this project with me. I thought it was a really valuable project. Thank you to the City of Fort Worth, Tarrant Regional Water District, Sierra Club for having us, all of the students, the faculty, and everyone that helped out. With that, I am done. Do you have any questions? Yes, sir, in the back.
The metering we're talking about in Fort Worth, do regular households have that kind of system, or do you have to access that somehow?
Yes, that's another reason this whole project's important. Nobody knows that. I didn't know it.